It is Cowboys week. Can the Ravens get their first dub of the season? We'll be talking about that and so much more in this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to another beautiful installment of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 264. We are getting up there. The O'Neill Cousins episode, the Saleh Isia episode, the Edwin
Ooh,
Mulatalo, John Urschel, and most notably now, Mr. Tyler Linderbaum episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you for
yes,
coming through
sir.
to this Friday Eve episode, this Thursday episode of the Purple Rain podcast. It is them boys week. We got the Cowboys at 4:25 on Sunday if you're in the Eastern time zone. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. But first and foremost, the housekeeping. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. This guy over here, Instagram, X at Sutton Death. Follow me on X at simplyas10 or on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. Most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped, did a nice little opening last week, little gift opening, and it was wonderful. So you can go and check that out. But we got some of the new products from Manscaped: the shampoo and conditioner, and
Yes,
the hair scalp, the scalp massager. Oh boy, I have
yeah,
not used it yet. I cannot
I
wait.
used it,
Okay, I'm gonna pop it open this weekend. How was it?
bro. When I tell you that was revolutionary. Remember, I told you on the last episode, I was like, this is something that like I probably wouldn't buy for myself, but I would love as a gift. So I
Yeah.
can't wait until I try it. It's probably gonna totally shift my perspective on it, and it totally did. Like, bro, I used it to like wash my hair, but you can also use it for the beard too. I like to rock the beard, so all
Oh,
the fellas who like to rock the beard, it just feels great. Like, it really like gets in there, like lathers it up really nicely, and you know, felt squeaky clean afterwards. So that's all I can ask for. Definitely make sure you go out on manscaped.com and check out the scalp scrubber and also the shampoo and conditioner as well. That's what I actually use to wash it. So it's like, two in one. I got the best of both worlds there. So go on
yeah.
manscaped.com and use our code PRP to save yourself 20% off plus free international shipping. And thank you again, everybody, for joining this episode 264 of the Purple Rain podcast. We got a lot to get into tonight, as you guys know. It is them boys week, Alex, and we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them boys since what was it? 2020. What was it? 2020?
Yes, it was a
Yeah,
Tuesday night game.
2020.
One of the weird
Tuesday
ones.
night football game. Yes, and we walked all over them that night. So hopefully we can replicate some of that success we had in 2020 here in 2024. This matchup should be a very interesting one. Like you said, 425 window. You got Kevin Burkhardt, you got Tom Brady, who's going to be calling the game, and like his analysis alone is going to be just fascinating, absolutely fascinating to watch, especially considering how much he kind of big up Lamar right before he left the league. In all their matchups, like he would always go up to him and be like, you got this, like you're up next, that sort of thing, and like it's just going to be really cool to watch. But me personally, I do hate the 4 o'clock window. I hate waiting on Sunday to watch my team play. And plus, I'm normally like on Sundays, I'm normally like tired by 4 or 5 o'clock
Yeah.
anyway, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna have to suck it up and just deal with it. But again, welcome to this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yeah, yes, I'm.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, 425 window. Cowboys, obviously, probably America's game of the week. We are wearing the all purple jerseys, which I love a good jersey combo. And right there, purple on purple. So I imagine they're probably wearing their all whites, their little slick all white alternates, which will be fun. But yes, like you said, Burkhardt and Brady, and Brady will be talking to Lamar in their pregame stuff and in their media window, so that'll be fun. But I'm looking, to get on board with the first dub of the year. It's been too long. Haven't been, 0-2 since 2015. A lot of these guys haven't been 0-2 ever in their lives, collegiate, NFL, probably high school, if they're that good. So I'm just ready to get off there and get off the mark and just get our first dub of the year. I see in the chat, people are already talking about the line. We'll be talking about that. Don't worry about it. But who we have in the chat, we love going through that. So I started off with K Dog. He says, "Yo, Ring Gang, what's good on this beautiful Friday Eve, of course, as hashtag replay gang with a whole bunch of purple hearts. If you're part of the replay gang, you want to catch a live one, we love you here. But if not, let us know in the comments, sound off. We love that. He says smash that damn like button. It's free and helps these gentlemen out a ton. Thank you, and thank you for getting the word out. We have Moltak saying, we here. RJ Horry, got done with my quizzes and tests so I can be locked into one of my favorite shows. RJ, thank you. I hope you ace them damn quizzes and tests.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
talking
he
100.
is.
I mean, come on now. He says, I'm not giving up on bait. Lamar needs to look his way. And then, do you think we could get alignment at all? Don't want to let go of Mark Andrews, but it could help with the trade. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that as the show goes on. And then we have Dre saying, what's up, Purple Rain Gang? A Pro Purple Paint Podcast. Chicken sounding off about his line, which we'll definitely talk about. And Kamal Porter, let's go Ravens. MDT, John Harbaugh and EDC Trash needs to get fired. We'll talk about that. Saying, hey, Alex, on deaf, I'm going to have my grape juice for Purple Friday. That's how good Purple Friday should start. Having your purple drink on Purple Friday. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, we can get right into it. We do have the Cowboys on Sunday, 425. Last time I checked, we are the favorites, which is a little bit surprising to me, but we haven't looked like a bad team. There's definitely signs of hope. It's just small stuff that's biting us in the bunda. So, our keys to victory. Let's start off with that.
Well, I think we got to get into our I-word report first.
Right? Oh yes, I-word report. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to
it. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about this one too. I want to win so bad. I'm so ready to get back in the win column because honestly, we're not on a 2-game losing streak. We're on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
If we're going back to last year in the AFC Championship game, it's been a hot minute since we've seen the Ravens win a meaningful game, right? So
yeah,
I definitely understand the excitement, the anxiety around that, but we're going to go ahead and get into the Purple Rain Report, the preview edition of it, which is brought to you by, of course, our lovely sponsor, Manscaped. We got a lot to get into tonight, of course, on the preview episode. We're in week 2, so we're kind of like in full stride football season now, so it's really time to get in the weeds like we used to. You know what I mean? It's about that time of year again. So let's go ahead and get into our first slide here. We have the I-word report, which I'll let Alex go ahead and detail here.
Yes, thank you. So we'll start with the Cowboys first. They have a lot. I'm not going to talk about anybody that's full because they're most likely going to play. So, you're limited. Jalen Brooks hopping up on that I-word report with an ankle. Trayvon Diggs didn't practice yesterday, limited today. Jake Ferguson limited. Blake Hooker limited. CeeDee Lamb limited. And then John Stevens limited as well. I expect most of those guys to play. I just keep my eye on Jalen Brooks since he just popped up on there. I expect CeeDee and Trayvon Diggs to play. They're not going to miss this game at all. And if they did not practice, Mozzie Smith, one of their big meat eaters in the middle, can help clog up those running lanes. He has not practiced the past 2 days, and that'll go along with my keys of victory. If they're missing him in that defensive line, it could really bode well if we want to run the ball actually and use the guy who we are paying $10 million a year to for the next 2 years. That would be nice. And then going to the Ravens, you have Malasega Amuvai Lau. He didn't practice yesterday or today, personal reason. Hope everything's good with him. Then Jalen Armour Davis was full today. Kyle Hamilton, Deontay Hardy, and David Ojabo all limited. Nadisa Isaac full, Ronnie Stanley full, Calvin Noy full, and then Nate Wiggins is back to practice, was in a non-contact red jersey today due to the car accident he was in. So hopefully coming tomorrow, we don't see him in that red jersey, and hopefully he's good to go on Sunday because we'll need him with this Cowboys passing attack. Any names that stand out on here to you, or any of the players that and their game status?
Well, definitely the Nate Wiggins one, because yesterday I had so much concern when I saw the I-word report and I saw that he did not practice again. And just to see, that he's back and he's limited, so he might not go, which I wouldn't hate, right? Yeah. Like I want our first round draft pick to be, fully healthy before he goes out there and goes up against like the toughest tests that he's ever been in, football wise in his life. Like that's important to me. But also, we do have a super chat donation. Let me go ahead and get to this really quick. Little sidebar. This one's coming from DWAS, the traditional super chat coming from DWAS, letting us know who's the ref on Sunday for the Ravens game. Thank you so much, dropping the 2-piece in the chat, man. Making it rain here on episode 264 of PRP. The referee for the game on Sunday is Ron Tolbert.
Thank you. Thank you, DWAS. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Don't really have too many notes on Ron Tolbert, to be honest with you. So I guess we're just gonna have to see DWAS, and then on the Monday episode, come back and we'll talk about his performance.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah, we'll talk
okay,
about it.
but thank you for your super chat, bro. Bro, we appreciate that. Let me see another one that I was looking at, and you brought it up. Kyle Van Noy. I
Mm-hmm.
continue to be amazed by just how tough this dude is. Like I mentioned before in the last episode, coming back 10 days after fracturing your orbital bone and playing in another football game and notching 2 sacks in that game, actually playing very, very well. That is, I don't even know. I don't have the words for KVN, man. I just love him. Big ups to him. I love that he's on our team. Talk about playing like a Raven. Like, he is a Raven. Like, I think that when it's all said and done, if he plays like maybe a couple more seasons with us or whatever, he could go down as the Ravens being like his team. You know what I mean? Even over the Patriots, especially if we win one. We got to win one though. We got to win one. That's for sure. Because KVN, he's been there. He's done that. So let me see. Another one that I was looking at, Kyle Hamilton, right? Hamilton is another guy that I have so much concern for right now. I mean, I've been seeing it all week on X and everywhere else that, he's got like a shoulder. People saying he has a shoulder. On here, it says he has a back I word here, and he's been limited today. He'll probably go. He's gonna play, but he's another dude, man. Like, when he's not at full strength, that secondary suffers. I really think that that's true, and we'll see that in our next slide here. But what else did you see from the I word report?
So Kyle Van Noy, you know how words describe him. I do. Gladiator, warrior, a guy you want to line up with against those other 11 guys. And then for Hamilton, yeah, he's definitely not 100%. I don't know what's going on with his shoulder. He missed
Yeah,
an open field tackle that we saw him make 10 times out of 10 last year. I'm a little concerned, and I'm hoping maybe just Zach Gore has to learn how to use him. I hope, because he really hasn't had the impact that we've seen from last year. But that was really my two guys too. Like I said, Mozzie Smith, if he can't go, I hope Todd Monk in this offense lean on that run and wear this team down, because we bring in Derrick Henry to wear teams out in the second half, and I think anybody in this stream knows that Derrick Henry is a better running back in the second half, because who wants to tackle him?
right.
I'm gonna go back to it again. He has 3 carries in the last 10 minutes of the past 2 games. Like, that is
Unacceptable.
it's fireable offense in my opinion. Yeah, like to be honest, like, you spend this money out on a position that we usually draft, or we get somebody in the back end of their career, but we go and get somebody who's I wouldn't say he's in the prime of his career, but he's still around the area where he can put up 1,000 yards. He has 2 touchdowns in 2 games, put up 80 yards last week, and he had 1 snap in the last 10 minutes, and like, to close our game, to be that closer. And this is no disrespect. This is literally no disrespect. We talked about Gus Edwards, like how we weren't using him.
Mm.
We're doing with Derrick Henry now too. Like, it's just frustrating at this point, because it's one thing if it wasn't running back who you weren't paying a lot to, but this is a guy you're paying a good amount of capital to, and you're still not using him, and it's just frustrating the hell out of me. Like, I just don't get it. And it is a coaching thing. I see our guy Garnett says, "Did you guys get to John Dumbaugh yet?" And yeah, and it comes back to him. It really does. I'm tired of just his decision making. I'm tired of him getting out coached by a guy who hasn't been. This is his first full year as a coach in Antonio Pierce. He's getting out coached by these guys nonstop, and got out coached by Shane Steichen last year, a first year guy at home against the Colts. Like, this is a usual thing. I don't see Andy Reid getting out coached like that. I don't. And the challenges, man. I saw the stat of like how bad he is on challenges. Like, he just throws that red flag to throw it. I feel like sometimes,
Yeah, yeah,
and he has no awareness of like his timeouts. Challenging the Devontae Adams was, I went back and saw like the time it was. I'm like, we could have another timeout on that potential game winning drive at the end. It could change a lot of things, but I'll get more into him as we go on. But yeah, that already frustrated me. But looking at this, like, fingers crossed, like, we're looking healthy right now. We really are. The only guy out is Malasela Amuve Laulu. Outside of that, though, I think we should be good to go, and with a whole bunch of healthy scratches on Sunday.
yeah. Again, probably not going to see a Tez Walker suit up for this one. Which again, he's another guy I think he deserves a chance, and I just don't understand what they're doing, what their plan is for him on the roster, especially drafting him, a third round. It's just what what's the plan, right? Like, what do you think about the whole Tez Walker situation, Alex?
If he can high point a ball, he already is better than most of, well, not most of them, but some other receivers on this team. He could definitely draw you a PI or two. Uh,
Mm.
I saw Saquon Barkley high point a ball, and Nelson Aguilar did it last week, and that frustrates the hell out of me. Like, what are these guys being taught? You know?
Yeah, that was man, that Nelson Aguilar deep ball from Lamar, and that was a pretty good ball from Lamar. I mean, it could have been a little
Yes.
bit better, right? He could have laid it out just a little bit more, so he could have had a basket catch, but that would have been really really tight. But in that moment, though, yeah, I do agree. If you're Nelson Aguilar, you got to go up over the defender and at least draw the PI on that one because we've seen guys back in our past in our history. If we go back to like the Torrey Smith days, right? Like when Flacco would throw up a bomb to Torrey Smith 8 times out of 10, it was either a completion for a big gain, a touchdown, or it was a PI, right? He just knew how to draw those. And, Nelson Aguilar, he is a savvy vet, but I guess he's just not that savvy. So, I
Yeah.
mean, when it comes to the Tez Walker thing, again, I do agree with you. Like, he's probably, well, I can't really say that because we haven't seen him in action, but like, he deserves a shot. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go back to last year. Odell Beckham Jr. I know we paid him a lot of money. I know he didn't live up to that $17 million a year expectations, but he was drawing flags. He was making hands catches. I think about that play on the sideline against the Dolphins. Throw it up to him. If he goes to try to catch like Aguilar did, he's not going to catch it. Caught it with his hands. And, that's why you get guys like that. Like,
Yeah.
draw a PR, do it the best you can. And it's just frustrating. And I doubt we see Tez Walker the whole year. I really do. We haven't even seen Tylen Wallace out there that much. So,
Right.
just another John Harbaugh and offense not using their weapons correctly. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, it's a philosophy thing because I guarantee you, if a Tez Walker was a Kansas City Chief, he would be getting utilized. I guarantee you, if Tez Walker was a San Francisco 49er, he'd be on the field. Like they find a
Yeah,
way, right? So it's a coaching philosophy thing with Harbaugh, and I don't know when the rest of the castle is going to wake up and realize that, or I don't know if they already have. I don't know if Steve Bisciotti even cares too much to really
yeah,
you know, be that involved. I think once Lamar came along, it was just kind of like, oh, we got a guy, cool. I don't really have to worry about, firing my head coach because we're so abysmal during the season or whatever. But that's another conversation for another day. I'll leave that there.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and let's get into our team rankings, right? So the Purple Rain preview
Mm,
slides continue here. So we have, just like we did last year, right? Ravens on one side, opponent on the other side. You get their passing yards a game, rush yards, their passing yards and rush yards allowed, points per game, points per game allowed. So just running through this really quick, the Ravens, they are throwing 260 yards a game. This is over 2 games again, so not a huge sample size, but we have something now, right? I didn't want to do it for week
yeah,
one, but week two, I figure we can get something going, right? So that's ranked sixth in the league. Rush yards a game, 168, which is seventh. They allow 257 pass yards a game, which is dead last in the league at 32nd. But wait a minute. When it comes to rushing yards allowed per game, they're only giving up about 50. And it's really 49.5, but I rounded up. But guess what? That's ranked first in the league. So we got the best run D, but the worst pass defense. So I just want to go ahead and clap it up really quick for our defensive line. I think they've been doing a fabulous job so far this season. Honestly, I think we got to give it up to them for that. But this secondary, man, something has got to give. And you mentioned it in the last episode. In Mike McDonald's early days as a defensive coordinator for the Ravens, the secondary struggled. As a matter of fact, the entire defense struggled. I guess maybe that's the silver lining. Maybe Zach Orr can turn this, the secondary around and we can see some progress, but we'll see, right? But moving forward, points per game, 21.5, which is ranked 14th in the league. So kind of like middle of the pack in like scoring, which we should be a lot higher. When we think about like so many points that we've left on the board so far this season, especially in the red zone. Points per game allowed, 26.5, which is 28th in the league. Okay. Going over to the Cowboys, throwing for 239 a game, which is ranked 9th, rushing for 85 a game, which is 25th, allowing 190 through the air, which is 16th, 141 on the ground, which is ranked 20th. They're scoring 26 a game, which is ranked 7th in the league. And they're allowing 30.5 points per game, which is ranked 30th. So, Alex, looking at all these numbers here, and you can see like the green, the red, the yellow, kind of seeing where they're ranking at. So it's good. It's better for the visual here, at least for me.
Yeah.
But looking at this, to me, they have a hard time stopping the run,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We happen to have one of the best run offenses in the league, right? Ranked 7th,
Yep.
as you can see,
Yep.
with the best rushing quarterback in the league to go on top of that. So, I mean, I think the game plan is one of the biggest keys to victory is stick to your guns. Yes, we're on the road, but what's the best way to take the crowd out of the game on the road? You run the football, you pound the rock, you run the
Yeah.
clock, you make it kind of boring. You suck the air and the energy right out of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that, then I think we can control this game. But again, looking at these numbers and these rankings, what do you kind of deduce from this? And let's get into our keys to victory, honestly.
Let's do it. Number one is basically running the ball. When we get into bets, and we'll talk about that, but I think this could be a great game for a Derrick Henry 2-touchdown game. He's going back home to a team that he openly said, he wanted to play for. Didn't even offer him a contract, didn't even reach out. He's playing this game with a point to prove. Believe that. I listened to him on the podcast, and you're saying that he had, a house in Dallas, and it would have been the perfect fit. And now, kind of disrespect. They didn't want you. They were better with freaking. They suited up with Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, and they signed Dalvin Cook off the street. So running the ball, number one, with Lamar or with King Henry or with Justice Hill or whoever we have back there.
Hold on real quick, Alex. That's a really good point you just brought up, and I did not think about that. Like the fact that Derrick Henry, he was ready to go to Dallas. So
Yeah.
like this is going to be a statement game in Jerry World. Like that's going to be wow. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that, but continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So number one is obviously running the ball, and with me saying that, which means expect Lamar to throw for 300 yards at this point now, because we're not going to even try to play to our strengths. What's going on, Roosh? And then obviously number two is the secondary. CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks are damn 1 and 2, like, and Dak Prescott in the first couple of games. Granted, wasn't the best last week, but I know I'm not full with Dak Prescott in September, October, November. Top quarterback in this league. I'm not going to be fooled by last week. I know he can definitely put up 400 like that. It's you got to handle these guys. CeeDee Lamb to me, top 3, top 5 receiver in the league. I'm not going to sit here and go 1 through 5, but he's all the way up there. He's freaking unreal. How are we going to stop him? Because we just let Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers cook us. What's going to be the game?
So like, who's going to guard CeeDee Lamb? Are we going to slap Brandon Stevens on CeeDee Lamb? Because after what happened with Devontae, I feel like CD could probably, I don't want to say it like this, but there could be some abuse, especially like later in the game. What are you thinking?
You're 100% right. I look at what I think Marlon gave up 3 catches for 11 yards and a touchdown in Devontae.
Something like that. Yeah.
I felt the Marlon hate was a little too much. I didn't think he had a bad game at all. I just think he was,
he did allow that one catch to Brock Bowers that kind of blew me, but yeah. But
I mean, I really didn't think it was that bad for him. So I mean, maybe him, or maybe you have Stevens on him and you have some help on that side, whether it be a Marcus Williams or Kyle Hamilton or maybe Eddie Jackson. I'm really not too sure, but you have got the game plan around him. And the key, I think, to beating these Cowboys is kind of stealing what the Packers did last year. Is they went in there with Aaron Jones and ran on them in that playoff game and made Dak uncomfortable. He was, throwing picks, didn't look good, shutting down CD, and that was kind of the key, the blueprint to beating them. Like you said, keeping their offense off the field. We, are probably one of the few teams that can, ground and pound and control the time of possession, and that's going to be my third key is time of possession. We're making it short and sweet. Please, I want us to have the ball 35, 40 minutes. I want them to have the ball, a very small amount of time, or if they do have it, it's garbage time, and they can have the ball as much as they want to. But we haven't been doing that, and we haven't been playing right. Situationally, we haven't been playing the way we should, and we look like a very poorly coached team and a team that kind of deserves to be 0-2. So if we can, do the simple things right, which we haven't been doing, we should be able to win. So my 3 keys: running the ball, finding a way for the secondary to step up because there's a lot of money invested in this secondary, and then control the time possession. What's yours?
Yeah. Love all of those. I do have one of the same ones as you do, just running the ball. And I mentioned that just a few minutes ago. So I'll let that one go. But then also on top of that, I think that David Ajabo and Adafe Owe specifically, it's time to start stacking games. What I saw last
Mhm.
week against the Raiders, I really think that he could be primed for a big season. I think if he continues to like stack these games, I just need his confidence to grow, right? Because before you know it, he strings together 2 or 3 good games. All of a sudden, his confidence is at an all time high, and we're looking at maybe like a 12 to 15 sack season, which is crazy. We would have never imagined this for Adafe Owe in the past couple of seasons, but it seems like he's finally coming around. I really, really like what I saw from him coming off the edge. I mean, he just had so much burst coming off the
Yeah.
edge, and he does so many other things on top of that as well. But like the scoring is what really makes it, brings it to the forefront, right? Makes him not the scoring, but the sacks. It's kind of like in
Yeah.
basketball, right? If you have like a player who can do everything else, he can assist, he can rebound, he can play defense, everything else, but like he really just can't score, you know? Like that player is always going to be limited in the eyes of most fans. And that's kind of how I feel about Adafe Owe. He was doing so many other things well, like I always talk about, setting the edge, right? Doing well in coverage in spots, right? Getting after the quarterback, getting pressures, but not getting the sacks, which is what
Yeah.
really matters. It flips fields, it ends drives. Sometimes it can force turnovers right on the spot, and that's what I like to see from Adafe Owe. So he's got to stat games. That's my second key to victory, and then my third key to victory, which is probably going to be my biggest one. I've been thinking about this all week, Alex. Staying ahead of the sticks. One of my biggest notes that I took in the first half of last week's game versus the Las Vegas Raiders was that the Raiders were winning the down and distance game, right? They were they were going from 1st and 10 to 2nd and short. We were going from 1st and 10 to 2nd and long. And that there's a huge difference there. Like it changes so much in the game, and like the playbook changes for, these different scenarios. And I really just think that Todd Monken on first downs, this is my request to Todd Monken on first downs. Please, please stop sending Derrick Henry on crash dummy missions right into the line of scrimmage on first down, on 1st and 10. Everybody knows it's coming. I promise you, everybody knows. I don't know what the exact stat is, but I can tell you just based off of what I remember watching in the game that day. The moments in the game where we would be running Derrick Henry on 1st and 10, on average, those plays, especially the runs up the middle, right? Those plays were negative. We're like nothing to
Mhm.
negative, somewhere in that range, right? The times on 1st and 10 when we had Justice Hill in the backfield and we ran the ball with him, what did you see him do? Break off big runs, right? 4 yards here, 8 yards here. Like nobody saw it coming. So it's like you have to mix it up if you're a Todd Monken here. Like you just cannot continue to go to Derrick Henry. You have to be more creative. And when I say be more creative, I don't mean like go for a Charlie Collard tush push on 4th and 1. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. Okay. So it's like, or 3rd and 1, I'm sorry. But that's my biggest key to victory, man. Staying ahead of the sticks, making sure the down and distance game is good. Let me go ahead and get into the super chat donation. We have a super chat from Moltac. What's going on? Appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate you for dropping the 5 piece in the chat, making it
Preach.
rain here on episode 264 of PRP. Moltac says we need Kyle Hamilton back in form. Rough start to the season for him. Maybe we should sit him this game and let Eddie Jackson get the start. What do you think about that, Alex?
I definitely want him to start. Now, maybe if you can like moving him around, and not have him just sit back there as a safety, and just let him be just roam around that defense. I'd be for that, but I would love to see him, start. I don't want to see him not start because then it's to me I think he's the best player in defense. Best football player. He's just can do it all. So I want to see him still start, but I don't think it's his form. I just think there's a nagging I word. I don't know what it is. We know he got hurt in training camp and then got hurt in Green Bay in a joint practice. Don't know if it's from that still because we didn't hear anything else about it. So I just want to get healthy. I don't know how long it'll be, but I want to hope that this that the team doctors know what they're doing. And they do, but just to protect our our peace. Yeah, he is hurt.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I want him to play too, and even if it comes down to rotating him on and off the field, like I'm okay with that. But like, he's just such a playmaker and just such a presence in that secondary, and it sucks to say, but I mean, we kind of need him out there
Yeah.
right now. Like that's the thing. So thank you again for your super chat donation, Multac.
Thank you.
But those were my keys to victory. So running the football, Odafe always stacking games and the pass rush going off again, and then also staying ahead of the sticks. That's my
Yeah.
biggest one, right? 1st and 10. Pay attention. Pay very very close attention to what the Ravens do on 1st and 10 of their drives, right? Especially when they start their drives from anywhere from like the 25 to like the 40, I would say. Watch what they do. If they line up Derrick Henry in the backfield and they're in Lamar's under center, you know who's getting the football, right? Even if
Yep.
Lamar's in the gun and Lamar and Henry's beside him, right? He motions beside. I'm just telling you, man, it's gonna go to Henry, and they're gonna know it's going to Henry, and like he's gonna get tackled, and it's gonna be so frustrating. So I hope we see something. Like I've been hoping for more Lamar pools, honestly.
Yep.
Like on 1st and 10, when everyone's expecting it to go to Henry, let Lamar pull it,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, keep him
But do you
honest.
have any? Yeah, exactly. You know what?
Yeah,
We
I'm just
actually
in agreement.
have.
I'm
Go
in agreement
ahead.
with you
Yeah.
with the whole Derrick Henry stuff. It's just they're running up the middle. It's a 1 yard to 2 yard gain at most. He's not going to
Right.
break that run off, unfortunately, up the middle because everybody knows it's coming. And if maybe he gets past the D line, the linebackers and safeties are going to be there.
Yeah.
It's it's just frustrating.
Yeah, and we've got to get him. We've got to get him on some of these outside runs again. I think that it would behoove us to get him involved in the passing game as well. You know,
Yeah.
like get this guy out in space and let him go one on one with some of these off ball linebackers, these floating around DBs, and see what happens. We saw what happened last week. We got our first Derrick Henry stiff arm, and it
Yep.
was incredible. You
Yeah.
know, like I need more of that. I need more of that in my life. So get them to the outside, do whatever you got to do, Todd Monken. At least we know we have proof, we have tape that works. So hopefully we try to replicate that. We try to go back to that because I think it could work more in the future as well. And it could potentially open up a lot more in terms of play action, which I know a lot of people have been talking about this week.
Yeah.
Where's the play action at, right?
Yep.
And Todd Monken, I think, kind of addressed that today, and he was, saying like in so many words, probably like the game didn't call for it in certain spots, things like that. But yeah, we need to see more of that. Like even faking the run, the outside run to Henry, have Lamar boot out to the right or whichever side, and let him do his thing. Lamar outside of the pocket is the most dangerous quarterback in the league. I don't think that that's a hot take at all. I think that Lamar Jackson outside of the pocket is the most dangerous quarterback in the league. Yeah, more so than Patrick Mahomes, more so than CJ Stroud, who I know is really coming on. Josh Allen, he's more threatening than all those guys. Um, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and leave that there. I do want to bring up some of you guys' keys to victory here. Let me see. I have one from Lisa. Lisa says getting touchdowns and scoring early and often. Yeah,
Yeah.
scoring early always helps for sure. But keeping your foot on the gas helps even more. Like let's not get a lead and play not to lose. We need to play to win at all times. At all times, 4 quarters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big one right there because just expanding on our lead as well. 10 points isn't safe, as you can tell at this point. 10 points in the fourth quarter. I think the
Yeah,
Raiders were 0-49 in their last 49 games where they were down 10 points in the fourth
yeah,
quarter. 1-49 now.
that's
We know who
crazy.
that one is too. So we're a make a wish team. We like to stop setting records. Like how the Dolphins in '07 were
Oh, hurt my heart.
didn't have a win, and they can get a win. Of course, Cam Cameron get your win, and then we'll hire you as our OC. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
Honestly. Oh man, I remember that one like it was yesterday. But let me see some other keys to victory we have from you guys here. VY says we need to keep Malik Harrison on the bench, man. Malik Harrison, we didn't talk about him in the last episode, I don't think at least, but Just more struggles out in space. Like that is it's frustrating to see a guy make one move on Malik Harrison out in space and like he's just totally by him. He can barely even arm tackle him. Just you know, run stopping, sure, but just anything other than that, don't really see why he's seeing the field too much right now.
Yeah. I don't see why he should be playing over Trent Simpson at all. Don't want to harp on the guy too much, but yeah, one on ones didn't look good, doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
All right,
not
so my guy Dre here says benching Falele is the biggest key. LOL. So
good.
let's go ahead and look at the unit strength, the trench measures, right, for these teams in the
Yeah.
NFL right now. Let's measure the offensive line, the defensive line, and see how we stack up and how the Cowboys stack up to the rest of the team. So you guys can see these charts here, starting with pass protection, you got pass rush, you got run blocking, and you got run defense as well. And you can kind of see whichever teams are up into the right foremost are going to be better, and then bottom and to the left, of course, are worse. So we've gone ahead and we've circled the teams that are important to us this week: the Ravens and the Cowboys, of course. So Alex, just kind of looking at this here, right? As you can see, the pass protection for the Ravens, it's actually on the higher end of the league, right? But I feel like a lot of this is a little bit skewed because of Lamar Jackson. And I mentioned something before,
Mm-hmm.
how Lamar Jackson really helps his offensive linemen a lot by kind of shuffling around in the pocket and allowing them to kind of like recatch their blocks, right? And I feel like that has a lot to do with this. And of course, the fact that he's not going to take as many sacks as other quarterbacks because he's so elusive, he can get out of get out of the pocket. I feel like that's what the grade kind of is going off of. But what do you see from this?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The Lamar tax for pass protection is insane, and then of course the run blocking is, not the best. I saw on Chris Long's podcast he brought up about Roger Rosengart when he came in, handled
Yeah,
Max Crosby pretty well. So surely we would have kept him in the rest of the game, right? No, no.
right.
Falele comes back. No, I'm sorry. Makari comes back in a tackle, and then Falele at guard. And you know, we played Makari at guard, and it wasn't bad. So I'm like, why? Like, what does Falele have to keep on playing at guard? Like, there's different options. Like, you could throw Makari at right guard and then have Rosengart at right tackle.
Right.
I'm not going to bring up Ben Cleveland because at this point, with what Harbaugh said, I don't think we'll see him playing a snap for the Ravens unless like people go down. I just feel like Harbaugh just hates this man at this point. It
I
really
mean,
like I just don't
he
understand
pulled
it.
the Nick Saban. He was like, I'm not doing it, so quit asking. He
Yeah,
pulled one of
literally,
those
like
basically.
it's like you played the guy out of position in the preseason. He looked all right. I had a bad snap, not in his natural position, and we're wondering why like he didn't look good. It's just so confusing. Like you're trying to set him up to fail, and he's still not failing to the point where you can cut him. I mean, like if we were to cut Ben Cleveland, he would have been another team right now, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for
So
sure,
like,
for
why
sure.
are we doing this to ourselves? And like about practicing hard, if that's really the case, like okay, like when I saw him play the last two games last year, when I went through, like it wasn't Marciano. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't Daniel Falele bad. He had his ups and his downs. Uh, some of the run blocking he got beat, some of the pass he got beat, but the other times where he took on Christian Wilkins last year 1-on-1 and won the rep. So like the potential is there, and I'm just not. I can't wrap my head around why we're still doing this with Falele. Like it's like self sabotaging. Like I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, of course, like
Yeah,
the run blocking doesn't surprise me. Run defense, of course, looks good. And that pass rush, like, is a little bit surprising because, like, I for one was worried about it, but so far in the first two games, it's exceeded my expectations. And I hope Owe getting his fifth-year option picked up gave him that sense of just, what, like, this is where I want to be, this is where I can be. I excel. I'll get a big contract after this because, who knows what could happen because we will have Cap freed up by the time he will be a free agent in 2 years. So who knows? But it's just that run blocking and that pass protecting for me. Surprise, surprise.
yeah. And what really stands out the most for me is the run defense for the Cowboys, which is pretty much ranked last in the league per ESPN and PFF for the most part. It's that's going to be the key, the biggest key to victory, right? I think we both mentioned it in our keys, like that Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, and I want to sneak this in here too. We got some a little bit of a little bit of news from Keaton Mitchell earlier this week, right? Made a little post online talking about he's back up to 20 miles an hour, running 20 miles an hour,
Casually.
and like casually. And basically it's soon. He's coming back soon. So like we got some cavalry coming along. That's going to be an amazing 1-2 punch. I can only imagine having Derrick Henry and then having a change of pace back like Keaton Mitchell, who you put in there. Because like then what do? I'm talking about Derrick Henry running on 1st and 10. What
Yeah.
happens when we put in Keaton Mitchell on 1st and 10, and you just don't know? They're like, are they going to run it with this kid, or are they going to throw it on first down here? And then
Yep.
before you know it, Keaton Mitchell's hitting his head on the goalpost because he ran right by you. So I can't wait to have him back. But again, the run defense for the Cowboys is something that we have to exploit. Like it's just there's no way around it.
Yeah.
I say we go to the Derrick Henry run, the outside runs earlier in the game as opposed to
Yep.
later. Like get him going with the outside runs early, right, and then kind of hit him with some misdirection with Lamar Jackson, and mix in the tight ends, and of course Zay Flowers is going to get his 10 targets, right? So it's got to be harmony. Todd Monken,
Yeah.
and he talked a lot about today how the Ravens just need to be in the offense specifically needs to be better in critical situations, and that's really what we're looking at the offensive line for, because in the biggest spots last week, the offensive line pretty much collapsed on us, and it was specifically the right side of the offensive line. And I really like what Chris Long was saying, basically giving props to Roger Rosengarten, because when he was in, I wasn't really thinking about Max Crosby as much. I wasn't. I wasn't. So I mean, I was watching the reps, and after a couple, I kind of got a little bit comfortable, right? So my attention, my eyes shifted elsewhere, and that was good to see. But something's got to give with the O line. You mentioned putting Makari at right guard and instead of Falele, and I think that's another reasonable option as well. I just don't know what it's going to take to get Cleveland on the board. I was on the Charm City Sideline podcast earlier this week, and I was talking to Lamar Season, Dawson, Bradley, and Zach. Those are great guys. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to them as well. But I was talking to them, and I was saying how Falele, he, of course, he was like a right tackle, right, for us originally,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to move him to right guard for some reason. And when it comes to Ben Cleveland, we had him playing center during the preseason, and John Harbaugh
Yep.
he talks to the reporters about he didn't beat anybody out. He didn't beat at what position? At right guard, because
Like
he wasn't there. You didn't give him a
right.
chance.
Right. Nope.
Like
Nope.
what
No.
what are we talking about here? So but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Makari
And,
there and then having Roger Rosengarten at right tackle.
yeah, and we saw it in the little training camp clips. There's the one of when Lamar made a great throw, and Travis Jones was literally pushing Falele back in Lamar's pot into his freaking lap. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a good like idea from the start. And you know what video I'm talking about? Like we all saw it. So what, as us as fans that don't have nearly enough of the technology, and we aren't at these training camps looking, but from one play we've seen and from little reports we heard, Falele was not good as our guard. Not good. And
No.
I'm not trying to bash him because I feel like he is like the scapegoat right now, unfortunately. And it's not his fault. I doubt he said, yeah, I want to play out of position. I get you're starting, but no. Like he is a tackle. And we were switching him with Moses last year, every other drive. Wasn't playing guard, playing tackle. So
Right.
now you think it's a good idea? It's just frustrating, and nothing's gonna change. And Harbaugh is not gonna take any accountability, which I'm not surprised about. And I'm not gonna sit here and say fire him, but it's frustrating that
Yeah.
you in your 17th year as a coach have still not taking accountability. It just behooves me. It really does. He's very stubborn, a stubborn old man. I hate to say it's that guy that just because somebody's younger and try to give him an idea. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I know. Don't tell me how to do this thing. I've been doing this a lot. The game evolves. It changes. Just like your old buddy Andy Reid evolved, changed. You think he's running the same stuff he was in Philly in KC? He's winning in KC for a reason. Evolved. You should do it too, Harbs.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was also telling the guys at Charm City Sideline, I was telling them, I fully expect Daniel Falele to start against the Cowboys at right guard.
Yep.
I think with Harbaugh's pride, he's going to trot him back out there. I think they've been kind of talking about it in
Yep.
meetings all week. Like, yeah, we're going to stick with this offensive line, and we're just going to continue to rotate right tackle, and we're going to see how it meshes, see if it ever comes together, if it gels, right? But I do believe, and here's where I have a little bit of faith in Harbaugh. I do believe if Falele struggles very early, and he's like getting Lamar like pressured like a lot, I think that they'll switch. I think that they'll rotate him out and try to get Cleveland in there, or they'll plug Makari and put a Rosengarten at right tackle. I think that they'll do that. And I would respect that. I would respect it. But it's like a 50-50% chance that happens. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. What was it? In 2012, I remember.
Yeah.
Bryant McKinney wasn't starting for some odd reason, and then no surprise, as the year goes on, we go into the playoffs. He starts, and the line looks pretty damn good. I need to find the full story on that. Don't know if that was a Harbaugh thing. I think it was, but even then, it's like it's a thing that's been going on now for years upon years upon years. So not really surprised it's happening again. It's hurting the team. Motek says Parsons might go where Falele goes. I hope Parsons. I hope Mike McCarthy actually wants to put Parsons as a QB spy, so he doesn't rush the quarterback. That would make a great game plan against us, because your best pass rusher, one of the top 3 in the league, isn't rushing the quarterback. Bring it on me, please, because I don't want to see him against Falele at all. At all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be tough, as it always is for NFC teams. I feel like they don't play Lamar Jackson the way you're supposed to play Lamar Jackson, right? They kind of, in some ways, they treat him like any other average mobile NFC quarterback, right? Like they don't there's no rush integrity. Like they run right past him. Lamar jumps out the window. He runs all over him. You know what I mean? So it's just we'll see if the Cowboys adjust this time. This is only the second time that the Cowboys have seen Lamar Jackson play, and that's again like these teams don't see the Ravens that often, so they don't have to game plan that often. They have 1 week, right? They got rolled by the Saints last week, and they had 1 week to prepare for us. So there should be no excuses if you're the Ravens. You're 0-2. Yes, you're going on the road, but hey, you just dropped your home opener. No excuses. You got to go in here and you got to take one, right? You got to take this season. They're not going to give it to us. That's clear. That's apparent. So you know, getting back to Micah Parsons and this offensive line, it's gonna be tough. I definitely think there's going to be some spots where we struggle still, and that's going to be frustrating as hell. But that's where Todd Monken's going to have to get creative, and Lamar Jackson's going to have to be a lot more decisive. We're going to have to start going to the checkdowns a lot more, maybe some more of these toss plays, and get the play action rolling, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I think about that. So Alex, let's go ahead and get into some score predictions, as we are already 50 minutes into this podcast, just about. Let's get into some
Yeah.
score predictions, shall we? So who do you got winning this game? And what's the score?
I think the Ravens have looked good their first 2 games, and like I said, they're doing the simple things wrong. They're overcomplicating things, and they're getting stuck in their own ways. I think the Cowboys had a good first game, and then second game kind of were brought back down to life. I'm going to go with the Ravens, and that is only if we play to our identity. Am I happy our identity is this running? No, because I would like to see him more open up, passing more offense. But in this game, with how poor their run defense is, and you can see it on this graph and what we went about, if we don't run Derrick Henry at least 17, 18 times, and if Justice Hill, I see him in there, no disrespect, none whatsoever, he's out snapping him by a lot. I'm not going to be mad if it's 50-50. If we're up, there will be problems. I have the Ravens winning this. 31-21. Yes.
Okay.
31-21 Ravens. That is if we run Derrick Henry. My bold prediction is 2 Derrick Henry touchdowns. Because they have a look at this run defense. Look at it. And look at what we have. You run behind Ronnie Stanley on the left. Him and Linderbaum are the only 2 guys I trust. Voorhees is getting up there. I trust our left hand side a whole lot more than the right hand side. You run to the left, look what happened. Look where Derrick Henry's best runs came from last year, going to the left. If you can just follow that, maybe you catch him off guard with some Lamar runs, you can win this game. 31-21 Ravens.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go 20-19 Ravens. I think it's going to be a damn close game. Just if I'm being honest with you, because I can see in the second half, just like last week, if Dak and CD start to get that connection going, and our defense is starting to gas just a little bit, because that's just what naturally happens. If the pass rush can't get home, which and the Cowboys' pass protection is not terrible as we're seeing here, but it's not the greatest either. So that's why I said always got to stack games. Like Kyle Van Noy, they both got to show up. They both got to get after Dak Prescott, make him uncomfortable. But I think it's going to be a very close one, man. I think that we maybe only scored 2 touchdowns, and I think that Justin Tucker gets back on track in the dome. Right, he hits 2 big field goals. I think we win it that way. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens over the Cowboys, 20-19. Let's go ahead and show some of you guys' score predictions as well.
Yeah.
Alex, what did you think about that? Oh yeah, shout out to the Flock Rundown as well. So shout out to both of y'all. Love the
Much
content.
love.
What's going on,
Much
sir? Much
love.
love to you. Yeah, the Flock Rundown. He's doing this thing over there. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. Putting out great Ravens content.
Yeah, I don't want this to be a one-score game because, in my humble opinion, I think the Cowboys have the best kicker in the league in Brandon Aubrey. That's just my humble opinion. I think he
Mm,
has one of the biggest legs in the league. Hell of a kicker. I don't want them to have the last ball and they need a field goal to win because they'll put him out there for honestly up to 69, 70 yards, I think. If it gets there, I think they'll let him kick that rather than go for a Hail Mary, even with CeeDee Lamb, because he had a 66-yarder in preseason. In the
yeah,
dome, you know, adrenaline's going, juices are flowing. Who knows? I would like for it to be, 2 possession lead, so we don't have to worry about that. But if it is 2019, and depending how the offense plays and we win, I'll be happy with the win, but I'll be upset, honestly. Like where's this, this new offense, the shiny toys, like we haven't put up more than 20 points. You know what I mean? Like
right.
with what we have, like are we going back to Greg Roman circa 2022 where we can't put up more than 17 points? I think this offense is gonna have to put up 30. So I'd be happy with the win, but I want to see more from the offense. So let's just hope it's a nice, comfortable win. Most likely won't be though.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's gonna be a tough one in Dallas. That's gonna be
Yeah.
again. I think we win. I think it comes down to that last possession, like you said, you don't want to happen. I think the Cowboys will have the ball, but I can see our defense making one last final stop, one last stand, and getting them off the field and us winning the game. So I know that's a kind of like a bold prediction there, but I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be a close game, man. Let me see. Some of you guys are saying Motac says 34-23 Ravens. All right. Boz says 35-31 Ravens. Okay. You
Oh,
guys got us getting 30. Okay, I got it. Flock Rundown says 34-24 Ravens. I love it. I love you guys'
okay.
confidence. The optimism. I'm just loving that right now. Jeremiah says 24-17 Ravens. Dre 24-21 Ravens. Let me see
Okay.
what else you guys have here. Arnold McCain in the house says 27-24 Ravens when we need this W. Yeah, you guys see the
We do.
title. You guys see the title. Ravens must-win
We
game
need
for the
this.
Cowboys. It really shouldn't even be question marks. It should be exclamation marks. Like we need this one. That's for sure, for sure. Let me see. Boz says 9-3 Ravens. That would be that would be frustrating. I'll tell you that much.
My
RJ
love
Horry
for the
says
game is
thirty-one
already
twenty-eight.
diminishing. 9-3 would ruin my love for the game at that
Yeah,
point.
right. I'd have to post that meme, like what did it say, like I'm not having fun anymore. Like that's what it would be
I'm
at
not
that
having
point.
fun these first 2 weeks. Literally,
Yeah, yeah. DY says 40-10 Ravens. Okay, and then RJ Horry says
delusion.
31-28. He says I think this is Bateman's game. Man, I'm not
We
gonna
I
say
don't want
anything
to see.
about Bateman.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just let's not even talk him up, right? We might get into him when we talk about our parlays here in a few minutes, but right now we're good. I don't even want to jinx it, right, RJ? Like I'm sorry.
I'm I'm not jinxing anything. I'm saying you give him a different offensive uh, viewpoint, different offensive mindset.
Yeah,
Good receiver.
yeah,
I'm just gonna, Clint Kubiak, Ben Johnson, putting up good numbers. Utilize
yeah.
them with strengths, not fucking deep balls. Sorry for letting that one out. Just feel very passionate about it.
Play him to his strengths. Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and get to some picks. Let's do some picks.
Let's
Ready
do
for
it.
that,
Let's
Alex? Let's
freaking
go ahead and
do
get
some
into it.
freaking picks.
Let Let's see how we did last week. Not too well. We didn't do
Shit
too
the
well.
bed. Shit the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad showing last week. I
yeah.
was 50%. Simply was 56%, as opposed to week one. Simply was like 87% or something like that. So we took a step back. Both of us did, because I think I was like set in the 70s. So we got to get back on track, Alex. Let's go ahead and get started. Weekly picks, week 3. Here we go.
You know, you can't do it without the music. So we're gonna get through this. Music's hitting tonight. Toilet bowl. Patriots. Jets. Give me the Jets.
Ooh, yeah. Give me the Jets in this one. I would say if it was a Bill Belichick-led Patriots still, I think he could thwart the
Yeah.
Jets kind of easily. But I'm gonna go with the Jets in this one. I think Aaron Rodgers makes a couple big throws and they take it home.
Yes. Moving on. The Giants and the Browns. I'm gonna try to get to these pretty quick, but I do think the Browns win this. I think the defense wins them this game, and the Giants just really haven't shown anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Browns in this one as well. Daniel Jones is gonna be getting hunted all day by Myles Garrett and company. So yeah, give me the Browns in this one.
Next up, the Broncos and Buccaneers. The 2-0 Bucks looking good. A huge win against the Lions last week. I think they go to 3-0.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is really bringing Chris Godwin back to life. He had a great game last week and the week before. I like the Bucks in this one.
Yeah, and you talked about the ageless wonder, right? Mike Evans. I'm going with the Bucks.
Got to. The Packers and the Titans. The Malik Willis Bowl. Actually, Jordan Love might be playing this game. And, I got to give it to you. You called it that the Packers were going to beat the Colts last week, and hold my hand up. Titans right now, Will Levis is out here just turning the ball over in new ways every week. You have the meme week 1 last week, the weird little shovel. You have his head coach saying, like, what the F are you doing? I'm right there with you. What are you doing, Will Levis? I want to see them win this game, but if Jordan Love's back there and the way Josh Jacobs looks, I can't go against the Packers. Give me the Pack in this one.
Yeah, if you're Will Levis, you have to know you cannot throw a football if your toes are above your head. You just can't do it. It just does not work that way, So I'm going to go with the Packers in this one.
Next up, the Bears and the Colts. Caught the first half of the game against the Texans on Sunday night. The Colts really didn't look like anything against the Packers. This is a weird one. I'm going to go with the Bears here. Hopefully Caleb Williams took what CJ Stroud told him and, kind of looked like he was just in one ear out the other, but I hope he listened to him and kind of let that set in, but they have too much talent to be losing these games. Give me the Bears in this one.
Man, this is going to be it's a tough one. I think it's going to be a little bit close. I'm looking at like a 7-point game, maybe a 6-point game, something like that. But give me the Colts. I'm gonna take the Colts in this one. I agree with Dre. I think that Anthony Richardson kind of shows up and he shows why he was, highly touted as a prospect coming out of college. Going up against the 2024 first-round pick, that game's going to have some big media coverage behind it, especially coming off of the last game with Caleb Williams struggling, mainly due to his offensive line. I think he was sacked like 7 times or something crazy like that, but wasn't really trying to hear what CJ Stroud had to say after the game. I didn't really like that too much. I think that they kind of carry some of that pain into the next game, especially with DJ Moore looking a little bit disgruntled on the sidelines. So give me the Colts.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. Next up, the 1 o'clock game I'll be keeping my eyes on, while we're waiting for the 4:25. The Chargers and the Steelers, 2-0 against 2-0. Jim Harbaugh against Mike Tomlin. It's going to be a really good game in Pittsburgh. I'm picking the Steelers to go 3-0 this week. I think Tomlin holds his hand over another Harbaugh, honestly. I like what their defense is doing if they can shut down that run. I haven't seen much from the passing game. Quentin Johnson had 2 touchdowns last week, but I don't think that happens against this Pittsburgh defense. Give me the Steelers in this one, and they're gonna go 3-0 and surprising 3-0.
Ooh, man. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this one. I do think that they will control the trenches and the line of scrimmage. That's gonna be a tough out for J.K. Dobbins. His first tough out of the season, going up against the Steelers, who he should know pretty well. They're physical. They hit hard and they stop the run, just like most other AFC North teams do. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this one. I think it's gonna be the first game where Justin Herbert is really forced to go to the air a lot more than the other two games.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Quentin Johnston is gonna be able to repeat that 2-touchdown performance he had last week, or if Palmer, any of those other guys, because they don't really have a good core there in LA. But if Herbo can have some heroics, I can see it being close. It's gonna be a close game, but give me the Steelers. TJ Watt, game-sealing sack.
Yeah, this isn't the Panthers all over again, Justin, so good luck. Next up, the Dolphins and the Seahawks. If Tua was playing, I may have thought different. I don't think Skylar Thompson is a bad quarterback by any means. It's going to be hard to get it done in Lumen Field. Give me the Seahawks and good old Mike McDonald in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Seahawks in this one too. I think that the Dolphins are really going through kind of like an identity change, right? With no Tua out there, they've still got some things to figure out. So in the meantime, I'm going to go with the Seahawks, who are flying high right now.
Yeah, right there with you. Next up, the Panthers and the Raiders, who just beat us. This is pretty simple for me. The Raiders.
Yeah, going Raiders. So we got Andy Dalton, right, starting for the Panthers. Bryce Young benched officially. So, I don't really know what he's going to do against Max Crosby, because Max Crosby will be in that backfield. And if Andy Dalton can get the ball out fast, we'll see. But again, that's another team that really doesn't have a whole litany of weapons, right? So I'm going to go with the Raiders in this one.
All right, moving on, the 49ers and the Rams. The 49ers with a shocking loss, honestly, to the Vikings last week. I don't understand how that happened. Sam Darnold. And the Rams, who kind of have me and you out there as receiver 1 and 2 next to DeMarcus Robinson at 3. They're just banged up all over the place. Their line is banged up. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Niners. Their fan base travels well to LA. And I just think they'll have a good bounce back game. I know Debo's out. Ayuk and Jawan Jennings just looked good these first 2 games. I know Kittle is, limited in practice, but I still think that the Niners pull this one out with Jordan Mason in the backfield.
Yeah, Jordan Mason back-to-back 100-yard games. Of course, we know with the Rams, their stadium's going to be flooded with 49ers fans. That is the biggest football city down there. I mean, San Francisco, and they just go everywhere, right? They travel everywhere. But also, I think that, they're going to be pissed off coming off of that unexpected loss last week. And again, I like Jordan Mason a lot. And the Rams are so broken down right now. No Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp, both on IR. It's like, where are they going? So I'll go with the Niners in this one.
Next up now, the Lions and the Cardinals. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Cardinals win this one. I do. The Lions last week didn't look the best offensively. And Kyler Murray's, it's the first month, and he's gonna look very good. And I already see the Kyler Murray better than Lamar stuff, and I'm just like, you guys kind of forgot who the hell you're talking about, and that's fine. We can laugh in December and January, but I got the Cardinals in this one by a close one, and it'll ramp up some of the Kyler Murray MVP talks.
Give me the Cardinals in this one as well, and also give me Kyler Murray 40+ rushing yards.
Okay. I like that. Moving on. It was Ravens Cowboys, obviously. So our Sunday night game, the Chiefs and the Falcons. It's in Atlanta. Chiefs in this one. I promise you they won't be doing what the Eagles were doing. All right, we have a doubleheader Monday night. The Jags and the Bills. Give me the Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll go with the Bills, and I think that this game really highlights Trevor Lawrence, and the bus talks really start to ramp up if he loses and doesn't look good. Give me the Bills.
Man, that seat is getting warm for old Trevor Lawrence. Got a lot of questions to answer. And finally, 8:15 Monday night, the Commanders and the Bengals in Cincy. 0-2 Bengals. I think they go 1-2 the Bengals here. I feel like they got unlucky last week against the Chiefs. I thought they played a good enough game to win. Unfortunately, a flag, help the other team out. Give me the Bengals this one, going 1-2.
I'm gonna go Bengals in this one, and I expect Jamar Chase to have 100+ yards receiving in this one.
Ooh!
Yeah, Bengals.
So we have a Sutton land, 40+ from Kyler, 100+ from Jamar.
Yep.
And why not talk about some more plays with a Purple Rain parlay? We have 15 minutes until the game starts, so let's try to get through this pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'll start off looking through these Ravens-Cowboys lines, and we talked about before the show, and I saw one that I really like. That's Mark Andrews. His line is at 39.5. I'm taking the over on that one. We got involved more last week. I think that just increases. I think they won't be paying as much attention to him. He'll probably be single coverage again. He might break off 3 catches for 45 yards. I think he hits that over.
And what did you say the line was again?
39.5.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, I'm going to take the over on that one as well. Like you said, 4 catches last week for how much? Like 40-something yards, you said?
Yeah.
I'll go with the over in this one. I think that Mark Andrews, according to the numbers from what I saw earlier today, like he's actually separating a lot better than a lot, more other tight ends in the league. So I think Lamar starts to rebuild his trust and his rapport with Mark Andrews, but I hope it doesn't mean that Isaiah Likely gets phased out again. I don't want to just see flashes of Isaiah Likely. I want him to be kind of like a mainstay in this offense because he is so dangerous after the catch, especially for a big guy who plays tight end. So, but yeah, for the Mark Andrews, I'll take the 40 yards.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then for another one I like, Rashad Bateman, 27.5. Oh gosh, I'm going to sit here and I'll take it. I had him actually on the lotto. I need one more catch and 10 more yards from him, and we just didn't go his way. And I know he had the one you dropped in the pick, but he bounced back with a nice sideline catch. I thought we were going to go to him again, and obviously didn't happen because why would we? But I think he does clear that 27.5 line this week as well.
27.5, yeah, I'm looking at that. Minus 114, yeah. I would, what is his receptions looking like? Let me see that. I mean, over 2.5 catches is plus 102. So, it's risky, right? But for the plus money, like if this was like minus 103, I wouldn't do it. But at plus 102, I might consider Rashad Bateman over 2.5 catches. And now you might call me crazy for that. You might call me crazy, but again, the fact that Lamar Jackson went back to Rashad Bateman after that interception, I think it says something because I'm on record. I put it on X during the game. I was live tweeting during the game. When that interception happened, I said, yeah, Lamar's not going back to him until next week. And on the very next drive, he proved me wrong. He went back to him. So I think that they will get on the same page. And like we predicted last week, Rashad Bateman was going to have 2 targets within the first couple of drives. And he did, and he caught a pass on the first drive, I believe it was. So, yeah, I can see it happening, man, especially if they get him going early. I'm going to make it official. Rashad Bateman over 2.5 catches at plus 102 on FanDuel Sportsbook or wherever you bet. The line may be a little bit different, but I'm taking that. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah. He had, 3? Yeah, 3 last week. And I don't see why it couldn't be 3 or 4 again this week. If we give him a good passes, not deep balls, intermediate stuff, and that's his bread and butter. And I'm just going to sit here and say, I don't know why we don't use him like that more. I think he's a better receiver that way. And I just think back to 2021, first 11, 12 catches, all first downs. Where were we being used? Intermediate. It wasn't deep balls. It was 5 to 10 yards. He makes the guy miss, get some yak. So, any plays you like though, from whether it be Ravens, Cowboys, or anywhere else around the league this week?
So I'm looking at the rushing yards here, the rushing props, and I see Justice Hill at over under 10.5 rushing yards. Man, see, here's the thing. Keaton Mitchell is not back yet. So Justice Hill is the de facto RB2. So I just think that when he's in the game, like we did last week, right? Later in the game, we put Justice Hill in there and we ran the ball with him. Defenses don't expect that, right? We see a lot of dime packages on the field, like more DBs when Justice Hill is in the game, as opposed to when Derrick Henry's in the game, you see bigger linebackers, more nickel, things like that, right? So I just think that he's going to get his touches. He's probably going to get anywhere between, if not even considering game script, I'd say anywhere between 3 to 5, right? Or 3 to 6 maybe on the high end. And Derrick Henry will get the bulk of the load, but he's going to get 10. He's going to get over 10.5 yards. So I'm going to go with the over on Justice Hill over 10.5 yards. Now they have Derrick Henry at 66.5. The Cowboys' run defense is weak, but again, for that very reason, I could see Justice Hill taking the over. And Multag disagrees with me here, says under for Justice, he thinks. So what do you think about Justice Hill over 10.5 yards?
I like the over. I think he's hit that over the past couple of games. I know last week he hit 25, I think. He had 25 rushing yards.
Yeah, I want to say
hit that right on the dot. Yeah, he had it right on the dot. I think the week before he hit it as well. I would take the over. I think even if it's one carry, or I think if you give him 2 carries, he'll get 10.5 yards. I'm sorry. Week 1, he had 1 carry for 3 yards. Last week, it was 4 for 22. I think he hits the over. I think he'll come in for 1 or 2 plays, and he'll get it on those 2. It wouldn't be my go-to play, but if you want to throw it in there on like a lotto, I think that's one you could put, and it would be safe.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe pick. You can kind of use that as like your drizzle, as some of the gamblers say.
Yeah.
Right. Let me see. I don't really bet on the Cowboys props, right? They got Dak Prescott 25 plus rushing yards at plus 480. I don't really see him running for 25 yards against us. No. He's not too much of a runner. He would have to be like in wide open space, which I don't really see that happening. But yeah, other props though. I mean, passing props. Let me see where they're at with that. Lamar 218.5. There's always the Lamar Jackson 2 passing touchdowns at plus money. It's risky because of what he got 1 last week.
Yeah, and then that's hard because Derrick Henry in the red zone. It's mainly going to be Derrick Henry time, and that's where I kind of come in. I'm just like, I don't know if I'll put that on my main one. I think my main one right now is going to be debate 2.5 catches.
Okay.
Andrews over.
Okay.
And then for my third leg, I could dabble in some alternate total points. I don't know. I mean, for me, they have, our over-under is set at 47.5. And from what I've seen to get from this Ravens offense, I don't really like that number at all. I might stay away from that. And the alternate isn't helping me out at all. So look, maybe the alternate spread, Ravens plus 3.5 is minus 200. So I think we're going to win. But let's say we were to lose on a field goal, that would cash that out. It's plus. But that's just for me, just another thing I throw on there. I'm not too sure for the third leg, but I definitely like the first 2 legs. So the third one, you can see what you want to cook up for there. But I like the Andrews over and the Bateman over receptions.
I mean, I might be feeling a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. He's hit that line in the past 2 games. Like you said, in the red zone, it's going to be Derrick Henry time. Cowboys have a weak run defense. I mean, Derrick Henry first touchdown is plus 550. Last touchdown plus 650. But anytime is minus 115. I think it's kind of safe because he's going to be in the game in the red zone, and he's going to get, just out of respect, right? You got to give him a couple carries in the red zone to see what he can do. So the opportunity will be there. Again, I'm not saying I love that. I love that. But like, I think that it's definitely, it's a solid prop. It's a solid prop bet.
Yeah.
And that would actually take the parlay, like you said, Rashad Bateman over 2.5 receptions, Mark Andrews over 39.5 receiving yards, and a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. It's a 3-leg parlay plus 588 on FanDuel. Not too bad.
Without a boost.
Without a boost. So I think.
And then, real quick, my lotto is the Derrick Henry 2 touchdowns plus 500.
Okay, just straight bet.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Let me see what the anytime touchdown is for a couple specific players. Let me see. So Zay Flowers is plus 190. He had one last week. Likely is plus 280.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
Now plus
Okay.
280. If I'm making a lotto, I might throw either a Likely or Andrews touchdown on there. And you know what? I think I'm gonna go Likely. I think I'm gonna go Likely
Okay.
because
Okay.
it seems like we might be going back and forth, and this is my test, right? This is my litmus test. One week we're going to Likely more, the next week we're going to Mandrews. I'm thinking this week it'll be Likely again. Um, so yeah, let me. I'll go with Likely for an anytime touchdown for my lotto plus 280. I think that's kind of like the anchor
Okay.
of the lotto, right? If that happens, then we're looking good, basically. So hold on, let me table this up.
Nice. Brent says, "What do we mean by lotto? Lotto is just like a lots of high odds. You know, plus 1,000, plus 2,000.
Yeah,
More likely than not going to hit. So you don't put that much money on it. Um, that's kind of what we mean by it. So and not put a whole say your unit's $10, you don't put a whole $10 on. You know what I mean? Maybe like 250 or $2.50 for like five. You don't want to put a lot on it because it's more than likely not to hit. But we love you. Thank you for coming through, Brent. We've really appreciate it. So I mean, there's your
all
plays.
love.
Game starts in 4 minutes. Only thing I like in this one maybe is I like Alan Lazard because he had me in week one. But outside of that,
Yeah,
not really touching too much on this one.
yeah. Uh, in this one, I saw somebody talking about Aaron Rodgers under a half an interception. Um, I think that in this game, did Rodgers throw a pick last week? I'm pretty sure he did. Oh, let me check.
Who they play? The the Titans. The
Uh,
Titans. Did he?
that's right. That's right.
I knew he threw on week one.
Yeah, I know he threw on week one, but let me see.
I'm not too sure. Let's see.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He threw two touchdowns,
He
no
didn't. Okay.
picks last week.
Okay. Okay.
So I
He
don't
had to
know what
bring
the
one that
line
week.
is for that. Oh yeah. I don't know what the line is for that right now, but let me see if they even have that on here on FanDuel. Oh, yeah, they do.
Voltec, I'll be 21 in 5 months. I can get on in these bets. Can't bet my state yet. Can't wait. Sounds fun. Um, it's it's fun when you hit. I'll be honest with you. Like you just got to be smart. And
Yeah,
every bet you can make it sound like it's gonna hit, but it's not. Like I've definitely when it first came out, I was talking myself into crazy bets. Like, oh yeah, this will hit. It was the World Cup, and like, why is a defender gonna have a shot on goal unless it's a header? If I get one or two chances in the game, and for it to happen to two different guys, like it's not gonna happen. So definitely just be smart. Set limits. Like all this shit is real. Like if you don't have the
ETO.
money, don't bet. It's and take
Yeah,
breaks. That's what I did. I'm like, if I'm not winning, it's not the
right.
end all be all. Whatever. I'll just delete the app. You know, it's not a big of a deal.
Yeah. You only bet what you can afford to lose, and you bet in moderation, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not something that you want to be doing constantly because you'll find yourself digging yourself a hole.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. This game is not really meant to be profitable, right? If it
Yeah.
was, then it would be, yeah, it would be too sweet. But that's how it
Yeah.
is. But yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And
of
watch
course,
out
you're
for fake
welcome,
tickets.
and
People
we love
fake
you
them
too.
all the time. Watch out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for me.
But
But yeah.
okay, I think
So
we're gonna go ahead
episode
and wrap up this
264.
episode. Yeah, 264, the Tyler Lindebaum episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Want to thank each and every one of you for coming out to the show as we are almost a buck 20 in. We got Thursday night football getting ready to kick off here in just a couple of minutes. So you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Sudden Death, like you see right there down below. You can follow this guy over here on X at SimplyAs10, on Instagram at SimplyAs10.prod. You can follow us as a unit on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. And like my guy led the show with, Manscaped. You can go on manscaped.com, get all sorts of really cool products like the scalp scrubber, the 2-in-1 hair conditioner, like they just sent us, and we love it. Well, I love it. I don't think Alex has used it just yet, but I love it, and I know he's gonna love it as well. And I know you're gonna love it. So make sure you go on manscaped.com and use our code PRP to save 20% off plus free international shipping. And with that being said, I'm gonna let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through to episode 264 of the Purple Rain podcast. As always, appreciate you, love you, and stay positive, test negative.
Yes, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. In episode 264.